Hey, welcome to Talks with Tony, where I have the opportunity to answer real questions from real people about real life. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, first, today's quote of the day is, "Love speaks languages of its own, and pain isn't one of them." Thank you so much. Let's get to our first question.
Hi, Tony. My name is Aisha, and my question is it okay for my husband to be friends with his coworker who he lusted for and had sexual thoughts about and wanted to actually be with while he was married? Just a question. Thank you.
Aisha, thank you so much for that question. Now, it's interesting because he told you all of this. So he told you that he had sexual thoughts about this woman and he wanted to be with her. So he's transparent in a different way. It's transparent in a way that most men won't be. That's not a good thing, because a lot of times when a man will tell you all of those thoughts, it means that he's kind of losing, the heart for the relationship, almost as if he doesn't care how you feel or what you think about what he's thinking about and what he's doing. And I say that because I used to be that man. When I would do something wrong, I would tell the woman, because you just kind of don't care and you don't think that she'll leave. Now, when you get a woman that you really, really are in love with, you are afraid to make a mistake. You're afraid for her to catch you in something or for you to, admit to doing something. So that's a red flag in itself. Secondly is, no, it's not okay. It's never okay. To be honest with you, it's a tricky thing when a man or a woman has a friend of the opposite sex when they're in a relationship. Because I read this quote the other day that said, affairs don't start in the bedroom. They start in conversations. And so when you are friends with someone, and when I say friends, I don't mean happy birthday, Merry Christmas. I mean, you call them and you talk to them about your stress. You call them and you ask them questions about your relationship, your spouse, and you confide in them and you trust them. That is what I mean by a friend. So as a man, if I have that in a woman who isn't my wife, and she's not kin to me, this isn't my mother, my sister, my cousin, this is a woman that I can be intimate with, that's very, very dangerous, very dangerous. So that's never okay. And the only time a man or a woman should have a friend of the opposite sex is when both of you know that person and you're okay with that person, their vibe, their spirit, their past, their present, their future, all of those things. And you have to be there, you have to be present, you kind of have to be in the middle of that, so to speak. And even then, I've seen it go wrong. So me personally, I don't believe in having friends of the opposite sex. You may have coworkers, you may have people who you are, cordial with, but friends, we got to protect that word. We got to protect that space. And the last thing I want you to know about this is you can't stop him. So no, it's not okay, but you can't stop him. So it's very important that you know the person that you're with and that you trust that person. And if you can't trust him, and if you don't really know him, if you look at his character and it's not where it should be, you have to be worried. So if he doesn't want to give her up, he won't. And you can't stop him. So you have to be able to trust him, trust his word, and know his character. I hope y'all get a hold of that. Let's go to the next question.
This is Angelica from Galveston, and my question is, if you've been in a relationship with somebody for over 5 years, never lived together for 1 year, and it seemed to get worse and worse, that you love them, but they don't sexually attract you anymore. What's that mean? I just need to know that when really this is my main question, Tony. When you love somebody, but you don't have an urge to have sex with them anymore, what's going on with your heart? What kind of love do you love them for? I don't know, because they seem to think I don't love them anymore because I'm not having sex. So I do love them, and it's just them. Is it me? Let me know. Thank you.
Angelica, first, I know you probably left this message before, the storm that's going on in Texas. So I hope all is well, and I hope everything is working out for you and your loved ones, and I hope everything, gets well soon for the whole state. To answer your question, now, if you don't know this answer, I don't know how you expect me to know that answer, because, it's your body, it's your life. But I can say it is a red flag. Now, one thing that you have to understand and be aware of is that men and women, we love differently. And women, when it comes to sex, as you know, and you probably can confirm this when you really think about it, and sometimes we feel things that we can't articulate, so I understand that and why you're asking the question in that sense. But when you think about it, when a man makes love to your mind, then you are more comfortable with him making love to your body. But if he can't stimulate your mind, if he can't have good conversation, if you all can't sit down and just talk and build and have a good time, and you genuinely love who he is as a person, like at his heart, at the core of his being, then it's hard to be intimate with that person. Whereas a man, we don't have to love a woman. Like, we don't have to have any feelings for a woman. Sex for a man is just a physical act until that man does fall in love and it becomes an expression of love. But for a lot of men, it's just an act. So the same way you feel for him, he probably feels the same way for you. But him being a different being, a different creature, created totally different, he's okay with sleeping with you. So what you have to realize is there's so many levels to love. And you love the shoes in your closet. You love the clothes in your closet. You love your car. You may love the trimming on your house. There's levels to love. So you may love him in the sense that you care for him, in the sense that you will cry if he died, in the sense that if he really, really needed you, you would be there for him. But a romantic love, that's another love. That's a different type of love. And so if you've been together 5 years and you did not say you were married, and you lived together for a year, all together, that's a lot of red flags, because for one, you're career dating. Because if it was serious and y'all were supposed to be together, you would have, tied the knot by now. And then you lived together for a year and things got worse. That's another red flag. So what you have to realize is that you love him, but you're not in love with him. And in order to have a healthy and whole relationship, you need to be in love. Not just have love for a person, but be in love. So sit down, be real with yourself as a woman, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you wasting your time? And know that he is a grown man and that you will be doing him a favor as well as yourself a favor if you leave this relationship, because there is no real love. So let him move on with his life. And if he says to you he feels like you don't love him, then you both are probably right. Thank you so much for that question. It's a lot of people in that same situation. Let's go to the next question.
Hey, Tony. My name is Mark, and I'm in San Jose. Going through a bout with my wife. Been married 18 years. I mean, we've been having problems left and right. I had infidelity on both sides, but hers was a little more deeper. Um, she, like, I guess, fell in love with a dude that was married, and he was living out of state, and she flew out there once every month for 3 months, and then we got back together. But it's just hard for me to let go of that. I've seen pictures. I saw an email she sent him, and they flew to Puerto Rico for 5 days. We got 3 kids. It's just tough, man. And I'm trying to forgive and forget, but it's just really hard. Every time I see a sex scene on TV, I think of her and him. She really cared for him. She said he cared for her, but he was married, and I go to his Facebook page sometimes and look at his family, and mine is just tearing apart. Anyway, man, I know it was a long message, but that's the gist of it, just trying to move on. All right, thanks, bye.
Man, Mark, that's a heavy question. Heavy question. Now, see, me being a man, I'm a little different in this area because I know as men we're looking for, this pass, this get out of jail early card, But I believe in looking in the mirror. I believe in looking in the mirror and accepting responsibility. You and him are the same person because both of y'all are immature men who cheated on your wife and you have children. So both of you are men who have opened up this can of worms in your household. So first, what you have to do, Mark, is look at yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what did I do to help put us in this situation? Because most of the time, and I believe this to be true about your wife, because if she was a no good woman, you wouldn't have married her to begin with. And you've been married 18 years. Most of the time, a woman cheating while she's married is a reaction to her man cheating. She's lost, she's hurting, she's confused, and what she doesn't realize is that by her revenge cheating, she's making a fool of herself. She's opening up another can of worms, and she's playing the fool. She's playing herself. And so your wife played herself. And she fell in love with a married man, and she needs to hear this too. She fell in love with a married man because she only got half of him. So his wife got the terrible side of him. She got the vacation side of him, and they literally went on a vacation together. So he's dogging his woman out and not man enough to leave. She was being dogged out by you and not woman enough to leave. Now she stoops to your level and starts thinking and acting like a man, which is dumbing her down. She does the same thing, makes it even worse, gets played by him, not realizing he never wanted her. So she was a fun fling for him because he's married and he is going to stay with his wife as he did. And so he had fun with her and used her the same way you maybe had fun and used some of the women that you were dealing with because you're still with your wife. So here is the mess that we get into and the mess that we create, and we find ourselves in these situations and look up and say, why? Why am I in this? Now, me personally, both of you committed the sin that breaks up a marriage. When you aren't supposed to be divorced except for infidelity, well, both of you have crossed that line. Me personally, and this is a personal choice, me personally, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to remain in that relationship because that is cheating can be an unforgivable offense. I mean, that's so serious. And what I mean by unforgivable is you can forgive that person, but you may never get over it. You may never forget it. And trying to remain in that situation, that's really hard. So the only way you can make it work is if you just have a paradigm shift and you stop thinking about what she did and you start thinking about what you did and what you did to help push her into that position. It's not your fault. She still made a choice. She's an adult. She's just as wrong as you are, because two wrongs don't make a right, but you still played a part in it. So picture, when you see a sex scene on the movie, picture the sex scene between you and the women you've cheated with. And then picture your kids' face and how they would feel if they knew, if they could see that picture. Think about what you did and put it on you, and this will help you find a heart of forgiveness to grant her the grace that she needs to forgive her. You know, they say God forgives, men don't. And in most cases, that is true, and we allow that to remain true. But if you both did wrong and you want to make it right, you as the man, being that you cheated first, you have to lead with forgiveness and then hope that she will reciprocate. If you forgive and you forget, meaning you don't remind her of the offense anymore, and you start to love her all over again like day one, and she continues to do what she did, or she does it again, now you know for sure the relationship is over, it's broken, and it can't be mended. And you can move on with your head up, knowing that you messed up, you owned up to it, you tried to make it right, she wasn't with it, and it can't work. But that's a really, really serious situation, really deep. Thank you so much for having the courage to ask that question. Let's take our next.
Hi, Tony. It's Anika from New York City. I just have one question. How do I know when it's time to move on from a relationship? And if it is time to move on, how do I do so? Like, memories are everywhere. And we still talk every day. So I wonder, is it over really? Or am I just prolonging the obvious? I don't know, Tony. Please help.
Anika, thank you so much for asking that question. Hope to see you in New York City when I'm there September 24th. Now, what I will tell you is when you have to ask that question, when you have to ask the question, when is it time to let a relationship go? That's a sign. Like, I don't have to ask that question. You know, going on 11 years of marriage, that question is nowhere near my mind because our relationship is intact, because my wife and I are doing what we have to do to make it work. Now, if I found myself in that position, I would have to analyze a whole lot of things. So the fact that you even took the time, now think about this, really think about this, and we have to process this when we are seeking relationship advice, because inside of every problem, there are seeds to the solution. So you were compelled to call me and ask me this question, and we've never met, and you don't know me from Adam, and it's just so deep, so heavy on your heart that you had to ask this question. That's your female intuition, letting you know that things are not right in paradise. Now, what you have to understand about a man, and the reason why you all are still talking every day, is because when we let a relationship go, we're really just letting the title go. It's almost like being on the job and being the CEO, but then getting fired from being the CEO, but you still get checks every 2 weeks. And you still can have all the same clearance and authorization in the company, but you don't have the title and the responsibilities, you just get the perks. And so that's what a lot of men do, and that sounds like that's what your man is doing. So he's downgraded from an exclusive relationship to friends with benefits, which friends with benefits works better for him. And what you have to understand is that there are no benefits to being friends with benefits. Because when you do that, you are putting your life on hold and you are giving too much of you to someone who's not giving enough to you. And even giving a small portion of you to another man will hinder you from meeting the man of your dreams. So that's what you have to realize, that if you are not exclusive and if you are not all in and if it's not real love, you're wasting your time. And every single day that you stay in this position, wasting your time, you can be walking right by your husband. So sit down and have a conversation. Be all in like Adidas or get out. Be all in or get out. Do not waste time. Life is too short. Thank you so much for that question. Let's take our next.
Hello, my name is Crystal. I'm from Georgia, and I really hope you answer my question. Um, my son's daddy, he told me a couple months ago. He told me that he cheated, and I left. I left and I moved to New York with my family and my son and our son. And he begged me to come back. He begged me. And I came back. I decided to give him another chance. And it hasn't even been 3 months good. And he spent the night, like for a week, at his friend's house, and it turns out he was spending the sleeping at some girl he just met house. So I left him. I left again, and he's telling me that is because I don't give him a threesome. That's why he cheated. If I did a threesome with him, he wouldn't have any reason to cheat. And I am not into girls. I'm not into threesomes. So I told him it was over. He's begging me to take him back, and I don't feel like taking him back anymore. So.
Oh, Lord. Crystal, I'm gonna tell you this. You are single. You are single. That is not your man. He is not a man. He is a grown boy. And if you watch my videos often, you hear me refer to some men as grown boys all the time. You have a grown boy. And that's your son's daddy. It's not your husband. And I don't know what he's doing in his life, but he's nasty. Sounds like a little freak. And that's not a good thing, because y'all have a son together and he can't get his stuff together. And this is what you have to realize, even moving forward. When a man does you wrong, like if I mess up on my wife, I'm not going to tell her. I'm going to talk to God about it. I'm going to ask for forgiveness, but I'm not telling her. She will have to catch me in order to know. So when a man tells you he cheated on you, what he is doing in Manglish, see, you're speaking English, he's speaking Manglish. In Manglish, he is telling you, this is what he's saying when he tells you he cheated on you. He is saying, look, you are not who I want. You're not who I want to be with. I do not love you. I'm not in love with you. But you have something between your legs that I want, and I would like to use you. but I'm going to use you and I want to use other women as well. And what I would like is for you to be dumb enough to stay with me while I use you and use other women. And if I really, really could, because I'm hurting so bad, because I'm so lost, because I'm so confused, because I'm so immature, because I'm such a grown boy, I would like to be able to use you and her at the same time in the same bed. I will never be a good father to my son. I'm not a man, so I cannot raise a man. I'm not a man, so I cannot be your man. But will you please be stupid enough to stay with me? In Manglish, that's the translation when he tells you he cheated on you. And then he begs you back after you stand up for yourself and you show him that you are trying to love yourself. He begs you back and then asks you with a straight face to degrade yourself and to come back to him and to give him a threesome. He's living in a fantasy world. He's not a real man. He does not know what it is to be a real man. He's not going to be a real man. And the only thing that will push him even remotely close to being a man is you leaving him. You leaving him, don't answer his calls, don't answer his emails. I mean, until he gets his life in order, he's no example for a young boy who you want to grow up to be a man. And ladies, every lady listening to this, I want you to hear me. I want you to understand me. You have a lot of influence in a man's life. And you help a man become a man. You are a part of that man's rite of passage. A man cannot become a man unless he learns how to purely love a woman. So you play a part in that. So if you reinforce his grown boy behaviors, you are playing a role in him remaining a grown boy and ruining his life. If you stand up and love yourself, you may lose him, but you've just pushed him closer to being a man. So if he cannot be a man for you, he may be a man for somebody else. Don't feel like you lost your man. Instead, another woman just gained her man. And if he doesn't become a man for her, he'll continue to do the same thing, but at least you dodged the bullet and you can move on with your life and you can attract the real man. Understand that. Do not stay in a situation and allow somebody to disrespect you and to mistreat you and to ask you with a straight face to compromise your self-worth and your self-respect. That's crazy, and that's what's breaking down society. That is the problem, a large, huge problem with our world today, is we are just destroying one another in the home and raising kids as products of that. And they're going into the world and we expect them to be productive and add value to society when we've broken them from the inside out. So think on that, refuse to be a part of it. We're gonna take a couple more questions.
Antonette, I'm calling from Rancho Cucamonga, California. And my question to you is, how do you handle a woman who calls or texts your phone who's cheating with your husband? And how do you handle that situation? Because my husband gave her the number. How do you handle that? The other woman, I'm not.
I guess the theme of the day is husbands who don't respect their wives. Because you're in that situation where you have a man who what he's trying to tell you, this is what he's saying to you in Manglish. What he's saying is that it's over between you and I, but I'm not man enough to walk away. Maybe you all have kids. I'm not man enough to walk away because I don't want it to be put on me that I ran away, that I left the relationship. So what I'm trying to do is force you up against the wall in a corner, hoping that you will come out fighting, hoping that you will find yourself, hoping that you will love yourself, hoping that you have even just an inkling of self-worth and dignity and self-respect left so that you can love yourself enough to leave me because I don't deserve you. That's what he's telling you in Manglish, and he's screaming it. And the reason why a lot of times men or even women don't like to leave is because we don't want the responsibility on us. We don't want the weight of having to ask ourselves, did I do the right thing? Is it my fault? Is this on me? Is this on them? And so we'd rather get left because we deal better as humans reacting to a situation that has happened to us than if we make a decision to get into a situation and it's the wrong thing. So we rather react than be proactive. So instead of him just being man enough to say, look, it's over between us, I don't want to be with you, he's waiting on you to leave him. And this other woman, I hope she sees this, and since she has your number, send her the link to this video. Now to you, other woman, what I want you to realize is the same way you get them is the same way you're going to lose them. Right now, you are not a woman. You're his trash can. You are playing yourself because you're in the middle of a man and his situation. If he's not man enough to leave his woman before entertaining you, then what makes you think he's man enough to love you? So you're playing the fool and you're allowing him to play you as well. So you have to look yourself in the mirror and you got to find some healing from whatever has happened to you over your life, whatever happened with your daddy, whatever happened with your ex-boyfriend, your ex-husband, and ask yourself, why am I the other woman? Oh, it's because he says they're done. Well, if he's done, why is he still in her bed? If he's done with her. So you have to be real and ask yourself that question. Why are you there? Are you sloppy seconds? Are you a bench rider? Are you a home wrecker? Ask yourself that question. And to every woman out there in this situation, stop allowing a man to use you as the other woman. Stop allowing a man to use you as his scapegoat. You stay single until you meet a man, until a man finds you who is man enough to already be independent and walking on his own 2 feet without dragging his wife or his fiance or his girlfriend through the mud only to let her hand go right when he picks yours up. Be woman enough to get your own man, not half of a man. Love yourself wholly enough so that you refuse to settle for half of a man. Instead, you desire a whole man. Get in that position, because one way that we can stop this is if women come together and stop working against one another. Stop feeling like, oh, he's willing to commit, he's willing to be faithful, so let me make him be faithful to me. And instead, love yourself enough to say, you know what, I'm going to wait on my own man. And if he's halfway in that relationship, I'm staying out of the way. Look here, fella, get your life together. Get a divorce, then learn how to be single again for a year, then come talk to me. And if you can't do that, then you're still not ready for love yourself. Thank you so much, Antonette, for that question. One more question.
Clarion Calhoun, Ennis, Texas. My question is, if you have a boyfriend or a man that he says he's your man, why he always, when you get into an argument, he says he's leaving? I think I'm just tired of it. I'm just going to leave, but he never leaves.
Thank you so much for that question. You know, we've all heard of the boy who cried wolf. And to be honest with you, I believe it was Dr. Gary Chapman who said it is manipulation by guilt or coercion by fear. So he's pulling the worst possible card. You know, he's pulling the most drastic scenario, hoping that it will scare you enough to stop arguing with him, to stop bothering him, to stop calling him out on his stuff, because he feels that you're so afraid to lose him that if he throws that in your face, you're gonna tuck your tail between your legs and just let him do what he wants to do. So what you have to do is show him that you don't care if he leaves. And when he says he's going to leave, say, you know what, I think that's a good thing. I'm gonna help you pack and give me my key and we'll talk later. Call him on his bluff, put him on out, spend a little time apart, and then see if he gets his act together. And then after that, you can say, okay, one more chance. But I want you to think through this, because it's a tough decision and it's a personal decision. But he's really just trying to bluff you, hoping that you'll stop playing Blue's Clues and you'll stop calling him out on his stuff and just let him be. But I can relate to that, and it's kind of funny to me because I've been there and I've been that man, and that's exactly why we do it. So next time, just call his bluff and see what happens. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you are notified on future episodes. We're still working through it. Keep building with us. Keep checking in every Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. I'm going to release a new episode. So set your calendar. Be there. Don't miss it. And if you want to leave me a question, just read in the description under the video. You'll see the number there where you can call and leave a voicemail. Try to leave it short. You know, sometimes we get a really long one. It's a great question, but it's too long. So try to leave a quick and concise question. You don't have to say your name. If you don't want to, you can remain completely anonymous. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Talk to you next week.